Welcome back, everybody. It is Tuesday night, and that means another episode of Theater and Tech Trends. And tonight, I've got two guests I've never had on the show before, talking about a topic that I've never talked about on the show before, and a topic which you probably have never heard of on this kind of show before either. But this is something that's near and dear to my heart. And even though you might not know it, it's near and dear to your heart too, because these are the folks that make sure that you know about all the cool things out there that you might want to spend your money on or use as upgrades, or just, general information about the whole ecosystem of the industry that you love, which is the CI industry. So in that vein, joining me tonight, I've got two luminaries of the industry. They are progressive thinkers, and they're pushing other companies. They're breaking ground and doing cool things. And these folks are Krissy Tomlin and Arlen Schweiger. Did I get it right, Arlen? Did I say it right?
You sure did.
Yay! Now, let's level set, folks. And if we could, let's go through some introductions and kind of let people know who you are, what you do, and why they should care. And Krissy, we're going to kick off with you. Who you are, what you do, and why they should care.
Well, I'm Krissy Rushing Tomlin, and I've been in the AV industry for about, I would say, 25 years now. I started way back when in my 20s at Home Theater magazine. I was in that editorial
magazine,
which became Sound and Vision. It's like everything kind of transformed into something else. But I wrote a book called Home Theater Design. Had just been around, as a journalist and an editor for a long time. Did a magazine for Best Buy. So sort of have been in this industry, on the editorial side for a really long time, and then kind of switched over to marketing. And so when I did that, I was like, well, I can just start my own firm. And now we have Rise Media Strategy is our marketing firm, and we have only AV clients. We work with Ascendo, we work with Mad VR Labs, Home Technology Association, Projects 360, all these, and some integrators as well. So
yeah, a bunch of wonderful clients, by the way. Those are all really good folks.
Oh, we love, we always like to say that, clients are kind of like your other relationship. It's like you want to have you want to have a good one, and you want to have chemistry. And sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not, but we've been really lucky with our suite of clients that it's been great. So we sort of bring the news to folks like you, to journalists. That's the PR part of it, public relations part of it. And we do social media for our clients. We do marketing, emails, websites, anything and everything under the sun. Rise is sort of a full service marketing agency.
Right on. So I want to dig into that a little bit about the definition of full service versus, maybe a different company that just does component pieces or not as holistically. But before we get to that, Arlen, tell us who you are, what you do, and why people should care.
Sure. So my name's Arlen Schweiger. I am pretty newly minted as the Director of Content with Rise Media Strategy. Very grateful to Krissy and her husband Jason for adding me to the team. Kind of like Krissy, I was on the other side of the coin with the industry. I've been in the custom integration industry for almost 20 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I was hired by CE Pro, which is the leading trade show in the industry, leading trade publication in the industry.
Yep.
And I had worked with several of its sister publications. Krissy and I crossed paths when I was working for Electronic House magazine. That was, probably a dozen 13 years ago at this point. For the last several years, I was focused primarily on CE Pro after having worked on commercial integrator and security sales and integration. So knowing the commercial and the security sides as well, those markets were, very dynamic as well. My love has always been residential AV. I'm a huge audio nerd, big video guy. And so CE Pro was great to work for. I was editor-in-chief for the last couple of years. And so I've worked with a ton of PR firms that are out there.
Right.
And now I have the other side where I'm going to be working with a ton of the journalists that are out there, trying to deal with the editors who, sometimes don't like being pestered by PR companies, admittedly. But now that I'm on the other side, I get to do that pestering.
And influencers like you, we talk, you guys are part of the whole process. So.
Right. And then
and so for people who don't know CE Pro, I would say our readers are the custom integrators like Krissy was talking about. We have a couple of clients. Those were the readers of our magazine, the people who install this amazing technology that we're going to be seeing coming up real soon at CD Expo.
Awesome. Very cool. So I guess after a while, she just had to have you and poached you away and stole you. And...
Well, I was happy that she was happy that I became a free agent a couple months ago, not by my own choosing, but it's worked out well so far.
Right on. Cool. So I want to go back to a topic that you brought up, Krissy, and that's really the different kind of firms that are out there. And, let's help the people watching understand what all a firm can do and, what all you do, which you say is pretty much, full service, soup to nuts. But, there are other groups out there that don't do as much. But what are all these things that Rise or other companies can do for these brands, right? What is your job? How help people understand what you do?
Our job is to make people know about our clients, at the very base level. So whatever format that might be in is kind of irrelevant at this point, because it's really about deploying the message wherever it can go. So, for example, you might have a firm that just does social media, because social media is a huge, never ending, I want to build my channel. I want to,
it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly. This better than anybody probably. And, that can be a full-time job for a whole team of people. Then you can have your public relations people, which are the people that are trying to bring your news as a brand to all the various media outlets. So, here's a press release about Ascendo's new, 100-inch subwoofer, which we put out on Friday. So
I saw it. I'm all like, how do I get this into my basement? I haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah, that's the question on the threads right now. So, deploying that message is not just about, getting it to the media. It's about getting it online. The intersection of like public relations and like how it works in Google search results has never been more important. So, that PR that we put on Friday, it got posted on Reddit, which is what AI is kind of scooping up and ingesting to spit out answers. So now that it's on Reddit, it can be on the first page of Google, and all the snippets and all the different spots on Google. So SEO is now a big part of our repertoire, because it's just so interconnected with everything. So that's search engine optimization. So we do all of it. But where we specialize, Arlen and I, is content, because we're writers, so that's the core of it, is about getting the message right in a beautiful piece, whether it's written or maybe it's a video, and just getting our clients' core messaging out there to as many people as we can.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of people don't do it all. They don't do everything because it can get expensive. But we have a nice, balance of all these different activities based on what the brand might want.
Right on. Now, Arlen, from your perspective, and help me understand what these words mean. I think you said that you were on the editorial side of things. Am I saying that correctly? And what does it mean to be on the editorial side of things? And I guess what would the other side be called that's not editorial?
Well, as opposed to being on the PR side.
Okay.
Contacting the editors, not sales. We're not sales, but like I said, the people who put out the content for the publications.
Like journalists, basically.
Yeah, journalists. So, working for CE Pro is a publication, had a print component, online component, and then what we would see in our inbox on a daily basis was, here's a PR company sending us the latest news about their clients. In this case, we'll say, Krissy want to get some information out on Projects 360, another press release that we did last week. But if we're still in the position of being editor-in-chief or managing editor or executive editor or whatever, web editor is a big one these days, obviously. Then we would get that piece of PR. What we did as a staff on CE Pro was often we would just kind of volunteer. We had a team it was me and 3 other editors.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we talked on Teams, the Microsoft platform, throughout the day. PR would come in. Someone would say, hey, I'll post this. A lot of times we wanted to get the PR up as soon as we could because we knew that we were dealing with competition. So
Sure.
other magazines that were out there, and like Krissy wants to do with her clients, on the editorial side, you want to also make sure that your promotion of the article, your actual article based on the PR, is among the first to be seen from Google.
Absolutely. You want to get that scoop, right? You want to be first.
Exactly.
You always got to be first, right?
And that's a big thing. And, I think we're going to talk about embargoes in a little bit, but, when a PR company gives us an embargo and says, lifts at 9 a.m. Tuesday morning. Well, if we get the PR a night before and are able to prep it, which some companies like to do, to give you a heads up so that they know, or they hope at least, you'll have it ready in your web engine so that you could just flip the switch on draft to live at 9 a.m. right when it coincides. So right when the PR is going out to all of the media outlets, you can already be ready with it and have it go first. So that's kind of an ideal situation, but a lot of times, you're receiving different things throughout the day. You might be getting heads up of things that are going to come later in the week. So really it's about planning. And a lot of it these days, even though CE Pro has the print component and you'd always be thinking about, okay, can this work in the magazine? Whenever you get the PR, online is immediate. So that's what you wanted to shoot for. And usually, media outlets want to produce as much as they can each day. So
the content,
yeah, we were producing 6 to 10 pieces of content every day. And like Krissy said, it could be a video sometimes. That's all part of it as well.
Right on. And so for Rise, you help create these pieces of content that get distributed out to folks like me.
Right, exactly. So the things that I was receiving for years and years, now I'm doing it from the other side. And it's a little different, the writing style is a little different because for an editor-in-chief or web editor, we're taking the PR, we're massaging it. We want to not make it just look like it was just stuck up on our site as is. Some publications do that, and I certainly, that's fine. I think for companies that want to do that,
like have a robo scraper that just goes out and scrapes and
yeah, right. These days you could probably just have AI, repurpose it or rewrite it for you if you wanted to.
Yeah, well, you can definitely have like a client-based AI that can do that kind of stuff nowadays, but hopefully that's not all that's going into it.
It doesn't.
Right, but we're looking at similar types of content in terms of, what we think are going to get the most eyeballs on them. If it is a straight piece of news, then that's pretty straightforward. But if we're working with a PR company like Rise, and they say, hey, we'd like to give you access to this amazing case study, this incredible home theater. It includes a 100-inch Ascendo subwoofer, which we know they've actually run in certain publications, things like that, showrooms, client testimonials, everything like that. Then that's something that we have to consider. We have to say, okay, do we have permission to use the photographs? Are the photographs good? What kind of information will we get from the story? How much detail do you have? What kind of narrative is going to be like? What's a unique angle that would make us want to publish this case study as opposed to this one that might just be kind of, a run of the mill, $50,000 home theater as opposed to a $500,000 home theater. So we look at everything that the PR companies send us and say, okay, well, what do we want to do with this? Yeah. And so now I'm on the PR side saying, okay, well, how how do I know that they're going to want to run something?
That's right.
So we have to come up with the ideas, and part of that is looking at case studies, looking at
content in all of its formats.
thought leadership, right? Exactly. And we know, a lot of publications, they really like having contributed articles, thought leadership, so that they know that they're getting authoritative advice and pieces
Right
of
on.
advice. And I know Krissy is going to talk about it a little bit, but that's what Google loves these days, is that authoritative voice. And you can have that on both ends, and actually one kind of helps the other.
Cool. Right on. Now, one piece that we haven't really touched on yet, and I do want to get back to the AI piece, but to mix it up just a little bit, we've talked about print and social media and this, that, and the other, but how do trade shows kind of work into the mix? Because you guys obviously represent companies at trade shows, and we've got audio advice this weekend, and CDS coming up pretty soon. I'll be at CDS in my backyard. I'm here in Colorado, so it's and it's my favorite show. Although I do really like audio advice, but it's a little bit different
it's a
than the typical
facing show.
Right.
So it's a lot of audio advice is a lot of they invite in the public. So it's a lot. It's exciting, I think, in that way, because people are like, "Whoa!" They've never seen anything quite like it. So yeah.
How do you deal with trade shows when you have brands that want to be at trade shows? What is your role in that process?
Well, there's so much that goes into it, and there's so much preparation that you have to start like in June. Ideally you start in June, because there's deadlines. There's, what are my clients going to want to put in the CDA Daily? What awards do we want to submit for? Do they need social media at the show? Are we going to be on the ground at the show to help them like capture photography and video? And then, we like to take our laptops, because, if you're doing social media for a client at the show, as you know, Giles, it's like, okay, it needs to be posted quickly, because
you need a team for that. I mean, it's almost impossible for a single person to do it. Yeah.
We bring our team, and we bring our laptops, we capture, we create little videos, we create little posts that can be posted right there from the show floor. So I think that our clients really appreciate that part of it, because they don't have to worry about it. They're not sitting there going, oh God, I need to post this thing, and that they're talking to a dealer, or they're talking to, a customer. They just don't have the bandwidth to really take care of all of their marketing needs while they're at the show. So we help with that. We have a client at CDA that's promoting a book, Home Theaterology. I think you maybe interviewed.
Oh yeah, I've got it on the shelf over here. That's a great book.
Richard Charshan. He's bringing it again to the CDA Expo this year, and he's got book signings, so we're like helping him coordinate that and making sure that people know about it. So there's all kinds of stuff happening at the show. It's just, what do your clients need help with, and how can you package a marketing, a suite of offerings that they can afford, because it can get expensive if you're trying to do every part of the marketing wheel to its full extent. So we help them, like, say, you should probably do 3 PRs, and we could do social. We'll do twice a day, and we'll help you with the dailies, and we'll help you with any awards that you might submit, and then that's like sort of their package. So that's kind of how we help them by making customized plans.
Krissy, also, I was going to say, don't forget, another huge component of the pre-show is coordinating all the booth visits from all the journalists.
Oh, right.
So, I mean, the PR company handles all of that stuff for their clients, so that they have a schedule to set. They have a schedule to follow. They want to know, who's going to be where at which booth. And, if you go to say CDA Expo, and you have a half dozen clients that are going to be there or more, that can get a little daunting when you're trying to juggle that and juggle however many, dozens of media people might be there. So we're actually putting that together for Audio Advice Live, making sure that, we're keeping ourselves sane while we're trying to get the right people into the right demos to meet the right, representatives from our brands.
Very nice. So let me ask this question. Maybe you guys can open up the secret vault a little bit, and then, for folks out there that are smaller, what are some tips of things that they would wanna do for show coverage? And then what are some n nightmare scenarios that you would really want to avoid when it comes to show coverage? 'Cause,
Oh,
maybe not making mistakes is better than doing everything right. I don't you know what I mean? Just
yeah.
what are the bad things, and then what are some things that the little guy, the small fry should say, "Okay, I need to do this thing."
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things to consider. I think one of the most important things you can do at a show is social media, because you create the FOMO and it creates the buzz, and you can overdo it for sure. Like, the person at home might not want to see 100 posts about CEDIA Expo, if they're just sitting in their office. Like,
I don't know who that person is, because I would wanna see as many posts as possible.
yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, but doing social, making sure that you're really present on LinkedIn, Instagram. Video is king. But you can make some mistakes. We've had clients that have told us, okay, we're launching a product at Infocom or CEDIA or whatever the show was, and here's the information, and it's going to go in the daily, and the daily is off to print.
Tell people what a daily is.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's the newspaper. The show daily is like kind of the newspaper magazine that you get outside your hotel room.
Mhm.
It tells you all the news that's at the show. So it's just a little magazine that says, so and so is in this booth and they have this new product they're launching, and so it's kind of a way to get all the news that's worth printing, basically. But anyway, that particular client, they gave us the news, we published it. The show daily went off to print, and then they're like, the product is not happening.
Ooh.
And so that, the product was launched in the magazine. There was no way to get it back, but it went off to print.
There was nowhere to be seen.
There was nowhere to be seen on the show floor for like a year.
So don't promise things that you can't follow up, that you can't, supply or whatnot, right? Yeah. Don't say we got a product and then no product.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Certain what's going to happen.
I would say the other nightmare scenario is if you give a journalist or a lot of journalists an embargo date, and then one of them forgets about it and breaks the embargo.
Forgets about it.
Yeah, forgets about it. Wants to be the one with the scoop, or or maybe you've given them that PR a month ahead of time, and they've completely forgotten about it, and then they're like, "Ooh, wait, we need to post this," and they forget about the embargo because it's so far ahead of time, and then you're scooping the manufacturer, and like that one bit.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the nightmare scenario as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it creates a lot of ill will amongst all we peers.
Oh yeah. I'm sure it's annoying for people like you
who follow the rules.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the PR company, was the one stuck putting out the fires.
Mm-hmm.
I think probably more on them than the publication that might have broken the NDA, because their client is going to say, what the hell happened here? We had this and we thought this was super secure. It was going to be this big surprise at the show. And, you kind of blew the wind right out of the sail.
That's a fast way to being blackballed in the community. Yeah.
Yeah. You're not going to win. You're not going to pick up many clients if you have, that kind of reputation.
Yeah. Right on. So I want to take a step back, and you guys are, Krissy, I think you called out the biggest buzzword going on right now, which is AI. So, when you think about AI and search engines and everything associated with that, right? How is that lending itself as a useful tool in for your work, right? And then are there any downsides to that? I mean, I assume so. In my real life, my day job, I work in technology. I've been a career technologist for almost 30 years now. And, AI is an absolute must-have tool now. Even today, we need it for all different types of things that we do. What does it look like from your perspective? What are you two seeing?
Well, we use AI as everyone does, but it's very, very tricky to, for me personally, I find that using AI is sometimes, if you're a perfectionist and you want something to be perfect. So say we took a transcription of this video that we're doing, and I gave it to AI and I said, summarize this and make it into a story.
Mhm.
Like that's a thing you can do. But I worry about the accuracy, and I'm like going through it going, okay, well, did they get all the points, and like comparing it, and it sometimes takes longer to do something like that than it is just to write it yourself.
Sure.
So we definitely like use AI to synthesize information because we're interviewing people. We're getting the story, like, oh, we're going to talk to so-and-so customer about their home theater in, Chicago or something. We gather the information. AI can help you to synthesize it, but it doesn't, for me, it's not a replacement to write anything. And I can spot
Right
AI
on.
a mile away on a social media post, you can just tell.
There was one word, that AI would always use, I'm not enthusiastic. I'm very, there was a word that, I'm like jazzed, I'm hyped up. I can't think of the word it was, but no one actually used that word that I'd ever seen in an email before. But this AI would always use, yeah, and you're like,
Yes.
"That's AI."
Right. And
They,
the other thing is, Giles, if you're looking at AI,
Thrill,
like
not
Christy
thrill.
was saying, she could tell a social post that's written by AI.
Mhm.
Well, if you know how a publication usually sounds, we call it like the voice,
Yeah, the voice, yeah.
where say something is, a much more formal type of article than something that's informal, then you can tell that as well. And you don't want to make it sound, I'm not going to say robotic, but
yeah.
people can easily read into, well, this wasn't created by this person because that just doesn't sound like him, or that doesn't sound like what this publication's, voice usually sounds like, or this is for a consumer publication versus a trade publication. Very different audiences, very different tones. And yeah, I think that's something where you can tell AI to do those sort of things. But again, like Krissy was saying, the human touch really needs to
Especially
be used on that to make it really sing
Right.
the way you need it to.
in our nuanced industry, you have to have the knowledge as well, and the experience to be able to talk about these complex things, technology. But to answer the other part of your question, where it's negative, and all of our clients are sort of facing this across the board. We have a client calling us going, our web traffic is disappearing. Everybody 30 to 70% traffic drop because of AI. Because what's happening is they're calling it like a 0-click world. Like if you put something into Google, ask a question, you can get the answer on the first page.
Yeah, you don't have to go look for it anymore. It'll look at all the sites, summarize it, and give you the answer, and
Right.
there's no more digging, no more visiting.
Right. So
Mhm.
how do you make sure that your brand shows up in those results? That's the new question, right? So
Right.
you still have to do search engine optimization because Google will pull from the only ranking pages. Like if you're not ranking in Google, you're not going to get an AI snippet, so
Right on.
you have to make sure you're still doing the traditional SEO, but there's also, answer engine optimization where you're answering questions, like, because that's what people are doing. How do I find the best custom installer in Tampa?
Right. Yep.
That kind of question. If you're not answering that question on your website, you're not going to show up in Google. So you
Yeah,
have
I
to do
think
all of it.
I think the questions that people are putting into search engines are much more sophisticated now than they used to be, right? They might in the past, they might say, "Big subwoofer." But nowadays they might say, "What is the largest subwoofer that I can fit into an apartment that would be sealed and would be in my budget of $10,000 or whatever," right? And then, it'll spit out, a paragraph answer with links back to, the pretty crazy what's going on now. And we are at just the cusp of, I mean, the AI that we have now, the generative stuff and the agent based AI, from my perspective, it's super immature, right? In 10 years, imagine the world. And my statement is that AI will be more impactful to technology. So the introduction of AI is more impactful to technology than the introduction of electricity.
Yeah.
It's a bigger deal. And imagine going from a no electricity world to where we are now. I think the change from a no AI world to a mature AI world will be just as big a change. The world will be unimaginable.
Oh, I was going to say in 10 years, who knows where it will be? It's not really something that I feel we can predict, especially with the way that technology has come. I mean, just in a couple of years, things can change hugely. I know when I got into the industry in spring of 06, and then I can't remember the exact date, but I know pretty soon after that, Steve Jobs introduced the iPhone, and that was a complete change and turned the industry on its head. So you went from, 30 days before that to 30 days after that. And just in that amount of time, things went crazy.
Yeah.
And so the impact, AI, where it's going is just kind of unbelievable from here.
Yeah. And it's a little scary for folks like us too, where we live and breathe, we are content creators, we're writers, and people are starting to trust written text less because of AI, So that's why there's a huge opportunity to be authentic on video. There's a huge opportunity for video. I mean, obviously everyone's pushing video. LinkedIn is now, crazy about video. So, but definitely.
So tell me this. Is it a horrible idea for me to make a clone of myself and have it just, read my scripts and make videos automatically? Is that the wrong way to go? Should I remain?
You don't even need to make a clone. Just throw it into ChatGPT, put down, some of your thoughts and topics for the episode. Boom, you're ready to roll.
Oh, well, I want, like, you might not know, but I'm just an AI right now. I'm Giles is asleep right now. No, but that's the thing, right? Full video voice AI, this interactive, and you can give it some talking points and just say, make a video. And then it'll go and it'll be indistinguishable from the real thing. Is that the way to go? Is that the future for us? Am I relegated to nothing?
I really hope not. I mean, there are huge, Hollywood studios that have seen AI and they're like, never mind, we can't compete with this. Like that KFC commercial that was completely created from AI.
Yeah.
It's a little scary.
AI music bands that are out there.
Oh, it's horrible.
And just all the images, it's
if you scroll Instagram, you don't know what's real and what's not real anymore.
Right, exactly. So it's very difficult, but it's also, I think, what a good point that Krissy was making was kind of that answer engine optimization, which is the way that Google wants to look at things is like we were talking about before with that authority, but also what the answers can be, what people are searching for. So you have to understand and question what people are searching for. And then if you're putting out a PR based on that, it changes the way you craft your PR. Whereas before it might have been very straightforward. And now you want to have those questions baked in there so that if someone is asking a question of, say, what is this subwoofer technology versus this subwoofer technology? Or what's this brand versus this brand? Why should I use this? Well, then maybe one of the pieces of content that you're giving to a client is, why should I use infrasonic bass from Ascendo? Or what is infrasonic bass? And then they could, if they Google that, they'll come up with something about Ascendo. But Ascendo would have something on their website saying, some sort of blog maybe, or just informational aspect that is, what is infrasonic bass? Right there in the headline. Yeah. And then they know that, okay, well, if people are going to ask that question, which the client hopes they will, if they're, have consumers just kind of scoping out what kind of technology is there. Well, then it'll go straight, hopefully, to Ascendo because they'll be ranking right up there because they've answered that question.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Questions are important.
So Mad Piranha says one thing. It's a little off topic for this, but I think this would be cool. He's waiting for the day AI can make a video of his favorite book. So, they're not going to produce video for every piece of property out there, but could you imagine, like, oh, I really like this book. Hey, AI, just make a television series. I want 10 episodes, an hour each, fully AI cast, just make them from the descriptions in the book and then give me something I can watch.
Yeah.
How about make it as good as the book? Because, you always hear that. Well,
It'll
the book
never
is
be as
better.
good as the book.
But then it would be an 8-hour movie instead of a 2.5 hour.
TV, and I'm sorry to all the folks out there that don't read, but television and movies, no matter how good they are, just can't approach that paper. Maybe I'm just old. Man, I love a good book.
That being said, the whole video business is certainly a lot, and plenty that PR companies can leverage especially at trade shows. Where, like you said, we're going to Audio Advice Live this weekend. The demo content is going to be great. That stuff is perfect for making videos. Same thing at CEDIA Expo. You're talking about unique companies, unique booths, and you're going to get a lot of unique material as well. So
yeah,
it
could be exciting. It's just, to me, it's a little scary and also very exciting. It's like I have mixed emotions about the whole thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Time will tell.
Sure,
its
reach will be extended.
So let's shift gears just a little bit here and go back to social media. Right. And one of the things that we were talking about before amongst ourselves was how to make a brand stand out on social media, because social media is the definition of saturated. Right. I mean, there are lots and lots and lots of voices out there clamoring for your attention. How does a brand kind of cut through all of the noise and become known, right? So, just think about a new company, right? They're trying to become heard in this sea of 2 million 30-year-old established brands. How is it even possible?
Yeah, I think it is. It's about what I've experienced with clients is that it's really about consistency and authenticity and, creating community with, people that follow you. So having that authentic voice, like you don't want to come out on social media and just be like, this product does this and this, product does this. You have to have a point of view and something to say. So we talk about Ascendo a lot because they have gone viral like 4 or 5 times since we've been working with them. One of the last posts that we did had 4.5 million views, which is like kind of crazy for a brand.
One of those 100 inches off a roof somewhere.
It was a picture. It was a video of the 50-inch sub.
Yeah.
So it obviously it helps to have a unique offering that excites people. I mean, people love looking at pictures of an extreme type of product, but the way that we engage with these threads, like there's 4.5 million people. And so you're going to have like 200,000 comments at least, and the people are coming in and they're all talking about, well, Marty McFly would love this sub. And, people come in and hating, going, oh, this is too expensive. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
It's too big. It'll be slow. It'll be muddy base. It'll be
exactly.
Yeah.
But the way that, the team at Ascendo responds to it, or we respond to it, is really authentic and engaging and can be even a little edgy. And people love that. They love coming in and having somebody on the team at Ascendo like engage with them and even say, well, what do you know about it? Like, tell me what you think. Like, tell me what your knowledge base is to even say this, So
right on.
It becomes almost like a little, debate,
Sure. So we've got GSG Audio Design out in the audience right now, and that's Kevin Sorkin. They're a California. I don't want to call them a startup anymore because they've been around for a few years now, and they produce custom subwoofers, enclosures, and working on some really cool new products and stuff. And he's all like, Lisa's perfect notes. Let's go. Now, do you think that a brand is better served by having a face of the brand, right? So I see some brands and all their social media, there are no people. It's just like a product shot and say, oh, this is on sale, or here's our new thing. Um, is it more beneficial to have someone in that company that is like, that is that person that shows things off, and that do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Is having that human face a very important piece of things, or maybe not
I
so
think
much?
so. I think it really personalizes it. And especially like Krissy was saying, if you want some engagement back and forth between the brand and the commenters or the people who post it, I think it helps to know someone. We were talking about AI. It helps to know that there's a human over there that's going to
Mhm.
respond to them and have, interaction with the
Mhm.
company and also or with the commenter. But I think also, like Krissy was saying about consistency,
Mhm.
I think it helps when you're seeing certain faces all the time. You're gonna associate the face with that brand. You
Yeah.
know, maybe even as much as a product. You might forget about what a product looks like, but you're gonna be like, oh, hey, that guy, I know him. He
Yeah.
works with such and such brand. I think you want to get the face out there. I think some of the best companies have been really good about putting the person that they want in that role. And you're looking for someone who is going to be personable, charming, witty, smart, all that kind of thing that is kind of meant for social media.
Right. If there's a brand out there looking for someone extremely handsome,
They'll call you.
just let me know. Anyway, go ahead, Krissy. What were you going to
I was just going to corroborate what Arlen was saying about, when, even if you even take it back to search, right? Google is prioritizing content that meets this rubric. They call it EEAT. It's experience, I think. I don't know what the other E is. I forgot. Authority and trust. I mean, authenticity, authority, and trust. Yeah, that's it, I think. Anyway, so it's all about building this trust. And they say, okay, so if you have all this content, right? So you have a blog and you put out content all the time, and you don't put an author with it, and you don't put a byline with it that links to their experience. Google does not prioritize that. They want to
say?
see the Giles McCoy. They want to see, the experts at Mad VR Labs. They want to know who is behind the words, because they believe in the trust that they're getting from a
Right.
person that has authority. It's super important. And I think that speaks to what the question that was asked was, which was, I think having that sort of expert opinion authority, even like LinkedIn. I was on LinkedIn the other day and looking at some information about, like, do you need to use hashtags? And the guy that did the video was some bigwig at LinkedIn. So there's expert authority there.
Right on. So,
Yeah, and with
Kevin
that,
Sorkin.
Giles, I'm sorry, you were going to say about like how does a startup get into
Mhm.
being with all established brands and getting getting an influencer to reshare or repost or even make an original post about something that they see. Like those things are big, and then they also go into that AI scrub where the AI might pick up that, oh, this person clearly enjoyed this post. They wrote something else just about this product itself. And that'll be picked up because they're an authoritative voice. They've got 4 million followers on Instagram or whatever. So one of the other key things with the social media is making sure it's visible, making sure it's visible to the company. The company needs to reshare and post
Mhm.
everything that you post. Um, you want to have actually build relationships with influencers. Say, hey, we've got this great product coming out, or we've got this cool demo that we're going to have a video for. Would you mind posting about it? So I think some of it is still that human to human relationship building that can also help with social media success.
That's cool. Right on. Um, Now we talk about all these things that we want to put out, all these different pieces of content. Where do you guys get your content from? right? So you've got a brand, right? You're working with them, and they're like, we don't know what to do. That's why we hired you. How do you create the stuff that is going to be used for their campaigns?
It really depends on the client. So we have some clients that are globetrotters, and they go out and they take pictures of every home theater that they've done in that area. They go to a showroom, they take a video, they evangelize their dealers to send content. So that content comes to us, and we can repackage it this way. We can put it into a video, we can put it into a cool slideshow, whatever graphic treatment we do to that content can be deployed on social. And then there's companies that don't have anything,
Right.
In those cases, you say, hey, you need a photography budget, you need a video budget, let's get something going. And then we have integrator clients that always take professionally shot video and photo of the projects they work on, which is like, thank you.
Right.
We need all that stuff. But so sometimes it's like making something out of nothing, like pulling it out of the magic, the magician's hat. And sometimes it's a lot easier when you have clients that really get it, and they're always on top of, can this be perceived as content? Can we shoot something here? Can we take a picture of, two people like at CDF?
There's a song. I don't know if I can sing it, but it refers to content. So, the song is "Everything is Content." Everything is content. Don't forget to film it. Don't forget to film it. Everything is content. Even that song I just sang is content. Yeah. So everything is just
is content. You might have to, if you have some tricky clients, you might, you have to interview them. You have to say, okay, you have this new product out. You have no idea how to market this product. You have no idea how to, put into layman's terms why people are going to want to buy it. You have to talk to them. You have to make sure that if they're not going to be giving you all the details for the PR that you want to put out, if it's just, a press release, you really have to talk to them and get those kind of details and figure out what to prioritize in a press release. And then what may be a good quote from someone who might not be used to giving quotes, and they're like, well, why do you want me to say something about it? So yeah, I think there are different ways of going about that.
And influencers, Giles, we've tapped you a few times for our clients to say, hey, you're going to be at CD Expo. We don't have a crew. Can you come by and,
those emails are coming fast and furious right now. Sony and Samsung, they're all starting to reach out now. Did you want to come by our booth? Do you want to do some coverage? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so in the last 5-10 minutes we have here, Krissy, Arlen, any topics that you want to bring up? Any other things that I'm not thinking of here?
Well, Giles, I have a question for you, because, this is all for us, the shifting landscape of, media, influencers. You've got traditional media outlets like a magazine or something. And then you've got the whole world of YouTubers that you're kind of a part of that group. And, for people like us, it's like, what do we expect? When is it, hey, come out to CDO and take a, see the demo that our client is putting on? When is it like, yeah, we're going to come do that, and just that's going to be content that I want to post on my YouTube channel versus, a paid opportunity? Because I know a lot of influencers, charge. Sometimes they don't charge. What's the line there?
Well, I can tell you right now that being an influencer is a job like any other job. And when a person like me, or anyone that you see on YouTube or Instagram or any other social media outlet, when we can be paid, we love it. I mean, that's the reason that people take social media beyond a casual kind of situation, right? You got some folks that, they just like posting and doing things, right? And they do it very casually, and they don't necessarily expect any kind of return out of it. They just, maybe they want some notoriety, that kind of thing. But, folks that become professional. I don't want to say professional because not everybody's like that's big as professional. They're popular,
Mhm.
right? They're good at what they do, but I don't know that you call it professional. That the idea is to do something that hopefully you enjoy, but can also make a little bit of money. So, in my head, if you just want to think about my process, I absolutely love paid engagements.
Mhm.
Right? So I'm working through setting up paid engagements for CDA right now, and
Mhm.
my goal is to have 10 engagements and do 3 a day or 4 one day, and not fill up my day that I can't go see the things that I want to do, or not be able to cover things that I want to cover that don't necessarily have budget, or just are full, or just whatever it is. There are things that I want to do just because I want to do it because I'm Giles, but there are things that I might not necessarily cover otherwise. So I
Right.
would say that you should never be shy to approach an influencer with the offer of a paid engagement, right? I mean,
Mhm.
there are some influencers out there, or bigger channels, they really do nothing but paid work,
Mhm.
right? I mean, that is their job. They are there to make money, right? And they are very lucrative at it. I think of Linus Tech Tips. He's big enough that he can make content that he wants to make, have integrated sponsorships inside of all the videos, right? And then still have enough viewership that they're making, I don't know, 3 million a month or something like that. And he's got a
Mhm.
team of like 8, 9 people, and that's what they do, right? They are a true business, right? This is social media based, and they don't take clients on from the perspective of PR, but
Right.
they have everything sponsored, right? Everything they do is designed to generate revenue, right? Create great fun content, right? But still make money. So, I'm very happy to make money. I don't often turn money down. There are times where I'm all like, I'm not doing that. Right? They're like, will you make a video about this product? And I'm all like, I will
No.
not. That is a stinker right there. And just, I can't do it. I'm not going to take your money to do that thing.
Mhm.
But I don't know if I'm answering your question or
No, no,
not,
that's very helpful, very helpful, yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I would say if there's an influencer that you want to work with, contact them, reach out, say, hey, we're interested in working with you on this kind of thing. And, they'll come back and say, I'm happy to create a short piece of content for you, or, I'm booking up for this show or whatever it might be. And I got 2 slots left and I would be happy for you to have one of them. Are you interested in doing a paid engagement? So, there's kind of give and take. And, sometimes for smaller companies, and I've done this a lot, they just don't have the ability to pay for coverage, and I'm
Mhm.
happy to create content in that kind of situation for folks, right? Hopefully they'll remember me when they're huge down the line, and take care of me in my retirement. But yeah, it's just every situation is different. But all social media people, all influencers, it is work, it is a job. People want to be compensated for the time they put into it. And shows are the hardest one, right? Because if you're going to
Right.
go and spend $5,000 just to go to CES and have hotel rooms and food and travel, if you are not a super huge outlet that's going to get absolutely millions and millions of views and make it back on YouTube, you got to have some way to cover
Yeah,
expenses, right? Because yeah,
that's reasonable. Mhm.
yeah. So
Mm.
don't begrudge the influencer a few dollars here
No,
and
no,
there to buy shoes for
I
their
don't
kid.
at all. I just was curious
Yeah.
about how it.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say is that, influencers, content creators have to maintain their credibility,
Mhm.
right? They people can tell when you're not authentic and you turn into kind of a coin-operated mouthpiece, right? Shilling or whatever term you wanna use, right? So you just have to, there's a fine line there, and, people will always question it, right? You'll have people out there say, "Oh, this is a paid engagement, right? This is just an advertisement and it's all fake." Well,
Mhm.
not for me, right? I
Mhm.
I actively don't do negative content, and that means that I have to turn down lots of offers, to do content, that either would not be genuine, or I would just have to say bad things about a product. So maybe it's not a paid engagement, but they're like, "Will you do about a piece of content about our product and you can have it?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"No," because and I've had people send me products and I've looked at it and tried it out, and I'm just like, this is bad. You need to fix these things. Some folks will go out and try and get the shock value views, which is fine if that's their style. But I don't want to be the guy that's like, oh, look at this television. It is the worst thing ever. You never want to buy this one. And I'm going to tell you why this thing sucks.
Yeah.
I'm not making that content. I'll just send it back. And if somebody asks me about it, I'll be like, I didn't like it. Right. I want to create content and talk about things that I think people would like, enjoy, and it would be beneficial for them, rather than telling them why something sucks.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's me.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Right on. And with that, we are down to the last 5 minutes. So we're going to move to our closing. Krissy and Arlen, I'm going to put you on the spot here and ask you for your closing thoughts. And let's revolve this around, if there are brands out there that are thinking about help from a full service marketing firm, what do they do? How do they get in contact with you? How can they find your website? How do they engage? What should they do?
Our website is risemediastrategy.com. I'm Krissy at risemediastrategy.com. Arlen at risemediastrategy.com. I mean, we will be at Audio Advice Live. We'll be at CD Expo. We're going to be making the rounds, but so just reach out. We're happy to talk to anybody. One thing we don't like to do is at Rise, we try to not take any two clients from the same product category. So, if we have a high-end video processor, we're not going to take another one. If we have
you're not taking Lumagen on as a customer anytime soon.
Exactly. So that just keeps conflict of interest out of it. So, we would love to have like a video wall or a projector or,
just video walls. Okay. Are you listening? What about you, Sony? I'll go talk to Sony and be like, are they using Weber? No, that Samsung's using Weber now.
Just video walls, I think, is Sue
Toscano.
Yeah, I think so.
So Sue's got
she's amazing. She's amazing.
Yeah, Sue's all over the place.
She's doing Audio Advice Live this weekend.
I was gonna say she's like doing that one as well. Yeah, she hit me up. She's like, "You want to come out?" And I'm all like, I can't. I'm actually going to be supporting the listening chair. So I work with Howard at the listening chair. And he's going to be on site, and he's going to take some content. I'm going to be that person on the back side that's doing all the processing and posting. And so I'm going to be in a videographer. Well, I guess just an editor kind of role. From a technical perspective.
He and I had a conversation, and he mentioned that you guys were working together. So I was like, we'll be meeting with him this weekend. So
he's gonna be out there fishing a little bit for some advertising client stuff, right? So I'll plug that right now. So the listeningchair.net is going to be dropping a new website here pretty soon, and I'm involved with helping create content for that. And we're going to do some cross posting with my channels and his channels and the bigger ecosystems, and we're going to have reach maybe 350,000, 400,000 subscribers across everything. So it'll be a pretty good set of social medias for mid to high end 2-channel as well as multi-channel home theater stuff. So anybody out there wants to get your word out, talk to Krissy and she will engage us to help you. Right?
We love referrals. We love it.
What I did there? Okay. Arlen, anything else from your point of view? Anything to leave people with?
I was thinking we were talking a lot, obviously, about social media tonight. And I guess my one final thought would be is know each social media platform's audiences and maybe try and cater to each one, because they're very different between, LinkedIn's more professional, Instagram is more visual, X is, I don't really know what X is.
X anymore? I don't know what
kind
X
of went off of that once Elon Musk took it over. But, and don't be afraid to take a chance too, because, I think about like TikTok. Like, I've never used TikTok, but I know some people just kind of threw something out there on TikTok that have gotten great response. You never know what's going to happen. And that could be a good way to go viral or to have, people find you that might not ordinarily find you. So, I think you have to kind of maybe trial and error about which site's going to work best for you. And of course, you can use a multi-pronged social impact, obviously, when you're able to combine sites. But I think for the audiences, if you're looking to market your client, don't be afraid to have, the president of that company go and do something silly on TikTok and become a meme or whatever. Like,
Get those views, right? Yeah.
Sometimes it works,
Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, Arlen, Krissy, thank you so much for joining me tonight. We're going to go ahead and sign off here. Hang around after I stop the show. I want to chat with you just a little bit. But thank you both for joining. And then everybody out in the audience, your time is precious as well. So thank you for joining us tonight. It's been our honor to tell you a little bit about the secrets of Rise Media strategy and some nuggets of wisdom around social media and marketing and all those things that kind of are the engine behind the brands that let people like you know what's coming down the pike. So thanks, everybody.
Thank
See you in the
you.
next.
Thanks, Giles.